another edition of the Marty Chronicles on the Conservative Take platform. I'm Marty Nalitz. As always, we appreciate your viewing all of our content. As usual, it's been another busy week, and we're going to get to a lot of different things in just a few minutes, including the latest on Hunter Biden and the big guy and what troubles they may be facing, a fresh, new, huge COVID lockdown, and, if you're not too tired of hearing about it, Will Smith. Let's start somewhere else, though. When I was growing up, there had been a TV show on, a very popular show, it was a little bit before my time, but it was called The Untouchables. And what it was about, it was set in Chicago, Democrat-run Chicago, on their first big roll down the path of corruption. The local police were either bought off or incapable of dealing with it. So there was a team, this is a true story, there was a team of federal agents led by a guy named Elliot Ness that was called the Untouchables. And they were called that because they couldn't be bribed, they couldn't be scared off, and they were really everything you wanted to believe was great about America. I can't help but think about that when you look at what's going on today with the FBI, Department of Justice, and other places like that. Let's fast forward from where I was just at in the late 50s, actually in the 20s, to 2016. Almost immediately after then candidate Donald Trump announces his bid for the presidency, a couple of things get kicked into action. First of all, they start spying on him. By they, I mean these federal law enforcement agencies. They begin spying on him. They forge warrants in order to get, phone taps and other nefarious things on some of Donald Trump's friends and co-workers. Of course, the Russian collusion hoax, which we now know was a complete and utter hoax. This all originated in the FBI and the Department of Justice. There's other things more than what I'm saying. Let's fast forward now to today and the Gretchen Whitmer hoax. About a year and a half ago, close to 2 years ago, there came this story that a group in Michigan they called themselves the Wolverine Watchmen were plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. They were going to kidnap her, and they weren't sure. No one was sure what they were going to do. Were they going to kill her? Were they going to ransom her? We didn't know. So that was the whole thing. Got a lot of news. In fact, Donald Trump was blamed for that, among other people. They arrested a bunch of people. And let's keep one thing in mind. Some of these guys have been in jail for literally 2 years. That's pretty incredible. A year and a half, probably closer to a year and a half, but a long time. Well, on Friday, there was some monumental news. There were 4 of these gentlemen on trial. 2 of them were acquitted of every charge, just flat out acquitted. The other 2 got mistrials, which means the government can try to cheat some more and bring them up on charges again. We don't know at this moment. We don't know if that'll be happening. But when that happens, it's worth noting there was a point the defense for these 4 men made repeatedly that was never really countered. And that was that there were over a dozen FBI agents that were informants. They got into this group, and that a whole lot of what was going on was sort of implemented by these informants. It's really, it's a horrible, horrible accusation for who are supposed to be the good guys. It really is. It remains to be seen what will happen with those last 2 guys. So we'll see what happens with that. But something else happened this week. A federal judge just released and dropped the charges against one of the defendants in January 6th. I won't call it an insurrection because I don't believe it was. But they dropped charges against that person for a very simple reason. When, and not if, but when the Capitol Police opened the doors and seemed to invite them in, that person, it would have been reasonable for that person to think that, okay, this is no problem. There's a police officer. They are inviting me in. Now, that won't necessarily come to play in every other case that's coming up. But an attorney brought up a good point that if any more cases go forward, the attorney for the defendant will likely point to this defense that it's been used successfully before. Remains to be seen. But let's add something else in this that came up this week. 2 Pakistani nationals were arrested this week, and they were arrested in a ritzy part of Washington, D.C. called Navy Yard. And the charges are really incredible. They masqueraded as federal agents for a couple of years. Now, a little backstory. We're told that these 2 gentlemen have ties to Pakistani intelligence. They also seem to have some ties with Iran. At least they were in contact with them. And what was happening over a period of a couple of years, these 2 guys were paying rent in luxury apartments, providing iPhones, providing flat screen TVs and other things to Secret Service agents. That's just mystifying. Of all people, a Secret Service agent, why would you take free rent from anybody? That doesn't make any sense to me. But again, here we are at this point in time when these units that were so revered in the past, yet all of a sudden you don't know what the heck's going on with them. So it remains to be seen what happens with those 2 guys. But once again, definitely a blemish on the Secret Service, and who knows what else is going to come out yet. I just cannot comprehend that a Secret Service agent would take anything for free from anybody. Now, that kind of brings me to something else, talking about Hunter and the big guy. Hunter Biden, things are heating up. This investigation into his finances seems to be heating up, but there's something else that now is becoming apparent. Hunter and the big guy shared a bank account, and a lot of the money that he got from his various schemes literally went right into that bank account that he shared with the big guy. Now, again, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. There was a person in the Reagan administration, I want to say in 87, that took a watch from somebody one time as a gift. He resigned because of the appearance of impropriety. That appearance of impropriety doesn't seem to exist anymore. Because it's not just the different things Hunter was taking from Ukrainians, from Chinese companies. There's a tax implication here that, will anything happen? I still say 60-40 no. But things are heating up there. And you know what's a real irony? Everything that certain people accused the last administration and first family of doing or being a part of is in front of us right now. Russian collusion, sellouts to foreign nationals, sexual psychosis, bribery, everything, racism, everything that the last president was accused of is for anyone to see in the day-to-day operation and history of the current first family. We're going to see what happens with that, because is it likely to blow back on the president, Joe Biden? I can't see it. I can't picture it, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows what will happen as things go further and further? Now, we also have something else went on this week that is a little bit beneath the radar, but it's actually a big thing. Shanghai, a very, very big city in China, was put on, I don't know what they call it, double secret lockdown. The people in that city are on complete lockdown. There's, stories coming out of Shanghai from people on social media saying that if they go out on their balcony, there are literally drones that they fly up and tell them to go back into their house. This is because of a COVID strain variant. And I don't know how serious it is, but man, you got to believe there's people here in America that are salivating at the thought of being able to do this. This is what they wanted to do all along in all of the cities in America. It'll be worth following as things continue to progress. I want to believe that America has moved on from COVID. And when I say moved on, What I mean is learned to live with it, learn to deal with it. We have different variants of flu, different strains each and every year. At some point, we'll talk about this, not today, but more and more information is coming out on various figures of hospitalization and even deaths that were, if you want to be nice, you can say the numbers were fudged. If you don't want to be nice, you just say they lied. There were a lot of lies told. Again, just for the record, COVID, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, posed or poses a serious threat for people of a certain demographic. Over 80, obese, respiratory issues. It was serious for people like that, and that's who we should have been protecting from the beginning. Today, you still see children 2 to 5 years old in New York City being forced to wear masks. When someone finally had the guts to ask the mayor of New York why, he said, well, New York is unlike any other city in the world, so you can't compare what other cities do to New York. Again, we see these little kids being under attack. Where else have we seen that before? One last thing, Will Smith. You've probably heard by now, Will has been suspended by the Academy of Motion Pictures. I think he resigned before that happened. Now, one thing I will say, I could care less what they do. I really could. I don't ever recall a moment in my life when I sat down to watch the Oscars, the Grammys, anything. It's just, I've never been into it. When I saw a movie back in the 70s called Annie Hall that I thought was the most god-awful waste of an hour, because I didn't stay for the whole thing, I left. And the female that I was with left too. She thought it was awful. Annie Hall, of course, is revered as this iconic movie and won every award there was. At that point, I said, I'm not missing anything because I'm never going to agree with it. But here's my point. You want to suspend Will Smith for what he did. That's really funny because it took them forever to take any action against Roman Polanski, who raped a 13-year-old girl and then was applauded by Meryl Streep and other liberal icons for an award he received years after this. Nothing was done to him for a long time. Harvey Weinstein, to my knowledge, nothing has been done to Woody Allen to this day. So you want to come down hard on Will Smith? Okay, so be it. I don't care one way or another. Last movie I saw with Will Smith in it was Independence Day. So it's just, I'm not into movies. But I do think if Hollywood needs if you need any more indication of Hollywood's hypocrisy, look at Will Smith getting suspended for 10 years, a week after that event, after that occurred, and the amount of time they waited to do anything to Polanski, to Weinstein, to Woody Allen, and they're not the only ones. That's going to do it for this edition of the Marty Chronicles. Thanks for joining us on all platforms, on all venues for the Conservative Take platform. Thank you.